All right, it's 9 o'clock. I'll call to order the July 19th meeting of the Saline County Commission. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Shadwick?
Here.
Commissioner Sparks?
Here.
Commissioner Vidrickson?
Here.
Commissioner Weiss?
Here.
Commissioner White?
Yes, ma'am.
We could all stand for a flag salute and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now is a portion of the meeting where the citizens' input is taken. If anyone wants to speak on county business, they have 3 minutes to open mic, so step forward. Seeing no one, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Today's consent agenda consists of approval of tax roll adjustments, approval of disposition of property, approval of contracts and agreements, approval of accounts payable is presented, approval of payroll is presented, approval of public forum agenda as presented. Any commissioners wish to amend or change the consent agenda?
Move approval. Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll move into our action items. Item number 1.
RFA 168-22, Resolution 22-2366, modify road standards and codes of ordinances with Justin Mader, County Engineer.
Good morning, Justin.
Good morning, Justin.
Good morning, Commissioners. So in April of 1998, the Saline County Commissioners adopted Resolution 98-1565, which established the minimum road standards for Saline County. And these standards were described in 3 different policies, road and bridge policies. Policy 97-101, which dealt with gravel roads, 97-102, which dealt with asphalt roads, and then 97-103, which dealt with earth roads. And these standards were also codified in the Saline County Code of Ordinances. So my office desires to amend these road design and construction standards really to reflect the current practices of both the Road and Bridge Department and of the industry. And then to simplify the standards, what I've done is I've combined the current 3 standards that I just talked about, one for gravel, earth, and asphalt, into one single policy, and that's policy 2022-101. On February 22nd of this year, the proposed changes in the policies were presented to the Board of Commissioners during the study session at the Road and Bridge Training Room. They were also presented to the Board of Planning and Zoning. In your packet, you should have a summary table which provides a list of the proposed changes compared to the existing policies that we have right now. Also in your packet in front of you should have a resolution 22-2366. This resolution will rescind the existing resolution 98-1565, which adopts policies 97-101, 102, and 103 as the Saline County minimum road standards. This resolution will also revoke Articles 11-11, 11-12, and 11-13 from the Saline County Code of Ordinances. And these articles are the ones that states the 3 policies for the 3 current policies for the gravel, asphalt, and earth roads. And then the resolution will adopt the Road and Bridge Policy 2022-101 as the new minimum road design and construction standards within the unincorporated areas of Saline County. And then it will modify Article 11-7 of the Saline County Code of Ordinances to state this Road and Bridge Policy 2022-101 as a new Saline County minimum road standards. And so in your packet, you should also have a marked up copy of Chapter 11 of the Code of Ordinances. And so what I did in there is I just lined through the existing language in there, and then in the red text, Hopefully you got a color copy. The red text was the new language and the new policy in there. So alternatives for action would be to, one, to adopt the resolution and accept policy 2022-101 as the new Saline County minimum road standards, or two is to not accept the resolution and direct staff to the wishes of the board. Staff recommends to adopt resolution 22-2366 and accept the new Saline County minimum road standards. As far as a budget impact, this resolution will not affect the 2022 or 2023 budget. So questions?
Okay, any questions, Justin? I know we discussed this to extent at our study session, so. Any comments from the public? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission.
Mr. Chairman, I move we adopt Resolution 22-2366 as presented by staff.
Second the motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve RFA 168-22, Resolution 22-2366, Modify Road Standards and Code of Ordinances. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Justin. Item number 2.
RFA 169-22, Resolution 22-2367, Modify Entrance Standards and Codes of Ordinances with Justin Mater, County Engineer.
All right, morning again.
Yes.
So in March of 2001, the Saline County Commissioners adopted Resolution 01-1688, which adopted the entrance standards for Saline County. And these standards was described in the Road and Bridge Policy 2000-101. And these standards were also codified in the Saline County Code of Ordinances. My office desires to amend these entrance standards to really reflect the current practices of what we're doing out of my office right now. And along with the policy update, we're going to update the entrance permit application, which will make it a lot easier for the public to fill out. There'll be a form, and I think with the new website, there'll be an online application part of that, as well as a fillable PDF, and so it'll be a lot easier for the public to fill out the entrance policy. On February 22nd of this year, these changes to the policy were also presented to the Board of County Commissioners during a study session at the Road and Bridge Department. And as with the road standards, you should have a table that looks very similar to the proposed changes that we're requesting. Also in your package, you should have a resolution. This is Resolution 22-2367. And this resolution will rescind Resolution 01-1688, which adopted Policy 2000-101 as a Saline County entrance policy. This resolution will adopt the Road and Bridge Policy 2022-102 as the new standards for entrances constructed within the unincorporated area of Saline County. And this will also modify Article 11-5 of the Saline County Code of Ordinances to state the Road and Bridge Policy 2022-102 as a Saline County entrance policy. Again, you should have a copy of the Chapter 11 of the Code of Ordinances, again, where I lined through the existing language, and the red text in there is the new policy. Alternatives for action would be to adopt the resolution and accept Policy 2022-102 as a new Saline County entrance policy, or two, to not accept the resolution and direct staff to the wishes of the board. Staff recommends to adopt the resolution 22-2367 and accept the new Saline County entrance policy. The adoption of this resolution will not affect the 2022 or 2023 budget.
All right. Questions of the commissioners?
I just have a statement and really a question, is that in the general here, where you're pretty adamant about the minimum pipe size will be 18 inches in diameter, equivalent of arch pipe. I mean, and I know that's a standard that you've preached, but it's like, I still think there's maybe some things. If you took your all the tools you have, and you went to this entrance site that was going to be at this location, and it showed that, okay, you could put a 6-inch pipe through here because there's really not going to be any water runoff much at all because the ditch is, the land is as tall as the road is. But we still have to put in an 18-inch pipe. I just, sometimes I look at this going, is this really, where do you start and stop on some of these times? Because,
Okay, yeah, so I did address that. So number one, it's an 18-inch pipe, or what I added was the equivalent arch pipe. You know, so an arch pipe, you gain a couple inches, and so it's, 22 inches wide, but 15 inches tall. So you can gain a little bit inches there. But also I put in some language to, for variances. There's, the landowner can request a variance for this, that we can look at and approve in a variance. A lot of those cases where you just don't have the depth, we do require landowners to do some ditch cleaning. They'll have to clean some of that ditch in front of their, the tricky part is they can only do it in front of their property. So if that cleaning does extend onto an adjacent property, you can have issues with, now you just dug a pond, because it doesn't drain. And so that is an issue, and that's a time where we would really consider a variance for that. But the reasons why we don't allow, like 6-inch pipes, even though it might not need to convey a lot of water, the issue is those smaller pipes, then you have less capacity for siltation. We know in this county, we've got a lot of flat ground, we've got a lot of erodible soils, and they can silt up a pipe. And so we want to have something bigger there, if we can get it in there, than what we need, just to allow for some of that siltation and still has some functionality of the pipe. But really, it's the variances
Okay.
that we can use. And it's the same thing with, we can have a variance for, instead of using a corrugated metal pipe, if the landowner wants to put in a steel pipe, like a steel casing pipe. And the difference is the amount of cover over the pipe. For a corrugated metal pipe, you really need, you want to try to get 12 inches of material over top of that, because the pipe needs that material over it for its strength. If you've got a steel casing pipe, you don't really need that much cover over top of it. So there's things
Okay.
that can be done.
okay. Thank you.
Does a private landowner still have the opportunity to put in his own structure
Yes.
as county standards? They could perform the work themselves?
Yes, so and that really hasn't changed. I clarified it a little bit and tried to explain the different scenarios. So if the landowner, for a new entrance, the landowner has to install the structure. As soon as not just structure, because it could be a mound entrance, but the entrance. As soon as we do a final inspection of that entrance construction, then we accept it, and then it's our responsibility to do that. Other things that come up are, let's say they want to move the entrance. That would be on them. If they want to extend the existing entrance, that would be on them. Now, there's always times where, if we're working in the area, we always try to help out landowners, and if we're in that area, and if they want to supply the pipe and the end sections, we'll go ahead and do that work. But typically for new construction and widening, it's the landowner's responsibility.
Very good, thank you.
Now, before the permit is issued for, say, new construction, does the engineering go out there, and you said that there's a minimum size, but do you go out and size what it needs to be?
Yes, yes, yeah, we go out and look.
That's inspected before the
Correct.
permit is issued?
Right, because we've got to evaluate whether the ditch needs clean, what kind of depth, do we have out there? Other things that we look at, too, is, where does the overflow go? You're always going to put in a structure that is not going to meet the amount of water coming down the ditch. Okay, so for whatever reason, you get a 100-year event. Where does the water go? We prefer the water to either, overtop the entrance or overtop the adjacent property and not the road. And so we're looking at that too, to kind of help figure out what really fits in there.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions of the commission? Questions or comments from the public? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission.
Mr. Chairman, I move we adopt Resolution 22-2367 as presented by staff.
Second the motion.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we approve RFA 169-22, Resolution 22-2367, modify entrance standards and code of ordinances. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, it's Justin Day here at the commission. Item number 3.
RFA 170-22, Resolution 22-2368, amend Saline County Highway Use and Utility Policy with Justin Mader, County Engineer.
I'm back. So,
Yes, you
yeah,
are.
I've been working on these 3 policies and for quite a while. So today's a good day that I can get these tasks off of my plate. So, okay, so for the Saline County utility policy, so the Saline County Commissioners adopted a road and bridge policy 2003-101 as a Saline County's utility policy. This policy was not codified in the Saline County ordinances, unlike the other 2 policies that we just talked about. The Road and Bridge Department desires to amend this policy to reflect the current practices of the department. An updated permit application will also be part of these changes. On February 22nd of this year, the changes were presented to the Board of Commissioners at a study session at the Road and Bridge office. And enclosed, you should have a summary table providing the proposed changes to the current utility policy. The enclosed resolution, Resolution 22-2368, replaces the Road and Bridge Policy 2003-101 with Policy 2022-103 as a Saline County Highway Use and Utility Permit Requirements and Procedures Policy. This policy document is attached and incorporated by reference to the resolution. Alternatives for action would be to adopt the resolution and accept Policy 2022-103 as the new Saline County Highway Use and Utility Policy, or 2, to not adopt the resolution and direct staff to the wishes of the board. Staff recommends to adopt Resolution 22-2368 as the new Saline County Highway Use and Utility Policy. Adoption of this resolution will not affect the 2022 or 2023 budget.
All right, questions of the commission?
Justin, just quick question here. Does this one here, this permit here, or the resolution, does a lot of this have to do with following KDOT standards? I mean, does any of this here match or exceed or
So it, as far as the KDOT standards for their utility policy,
yeah, this or any of this?
I couldn't tell you that.
Okay, all
I
right.
couldn't tell you that. I would say it probably does not quite match what their policy is, just being on a state highway and utilities as far as their depth, but I really couldn't tell you.
Okay.
So, but what I did do is, I've done a lot of research on really all 3 of these resolutions that I'm bringing to you today, what other counties are doing. And I tried to, what I did is I looked at all the counties from across the state, and I took, the best of what each one of them is doing and tried to merge them into to one policy for us. And then, looking at that to see what we really want utility companies to do when they're installing, their assets in the right of way.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions of the commissioners? If not, any questions or comments from the public?
Yeah, Norman Mantle. 50 years ago, it used to snow. Do we got to mow the right-of-ways now? It's a budget issue. Do we have to mow it, the right-of-ways? You could discuss that for future use. Fuel costs. It don't snow anymore. We mowed the roads years ago because to keep it from drifting. So if we quit mowing, then it'll snow.
All right. Any other questions or comments from the public? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission.
Mr. Chairman, I move we adopt Resolution 22-2368 as presented by staff.
Second the motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. We approve RFA 170-22, Resolution 22-2368, amend Saline County highway use and utility policy. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you for all the work, Justin.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I will move on to item number 4.
RFA 171-22, revenue neutral rate intent for the 2023 budgets with Philip Smith Haynes, County Administrator.
Good morning, Philip.
Good morning, Commissioners. Last Tuesday, the Commission received the County Administrator's recommended budgets for Saline County and the special districts, as well as separately for the Saline Township, since you're acting in the stead of a governing body for that township at the current time. If we had had any budget appeals, those would have been on your agenda for today. I was not notified by any department of an intent to appeal the county administrator's recommendations, so that item is not on for today. The one item that we do need to take up with regard to the 2023 budgets is that we are required by state law now to notify the county clerk no later than July 20th, which happens to be tomorrow, of the intent to exceed or not exceed the revenue neutral rate that is calculated as the rate at which, if that were to be levied, it would yield the same amount of ad valorem property tax revenue as in the current fiscal year. Pursuant to the county administrator recommended budgets that you received last Tuesday, the county fire districts 1, 2, 3, 5, and 7, and the Saline Township would each exceed the revenue neutral rates. Fire districts number 4 and 6 would not. So I have prepared 4 separate letters that would ask for the chairman to sign and submit to the county clerk by tomorrow to comply with the state law. Where we will go from here, if the commission approves this action today, the county clerk would send letters to taxpayers notifying them of any districts in their jurisdiction that plan to exceed the revenue neutral rate. The county would publish both the revenue neutral rate intent and the notice of budget hearing, and we would be back in front of the commission on August 23rd for final hearings, both the revenue neutral hearing and the budget hearing, and final budget adoption. I feel like it might be good to just revisit the budgets one more time between now and then. So I'm thinking of going ahead and putting an item on for probably the 9th of August, just to see if the commission has any final changes before those final hearings. But with this action today, of course, as discussed last week, you would be able to go down but not up from what is published. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
This is Commissioner Vidrickson. Phil, I would like to know on the revenue neutral rate, that basically means that the mill levy will not increase. Is that correct?
Thank you, Commissioner Vidrickson. The revenue neutral rate, if the commission adhered to the revenue neutral rate, the mill rate would actually go down by about 2 mills for the county and, various other amounts for the rural fire districts. So the plan is to exceed that revenue neutral rate, but still come in just slightly below the current mill rate. But in order to do that, we do have to publish this notice of intent to exceed the revenue neutral rate.
That having been said, potentially we could be at the same mill levy rate as high as, is that correct?
It's actually slightly lower than current. I believe the current mill rate for the county combined is about 39.7, and the notice of intent that we would issue to the clerk would be at 39.017.
But my question was, it could theoretically be as high as the current mill levy rate.
No, it would be just slightly lower, but
I know it's slightly lower, but it has to be slightly lower? That's my question. Does it?
Oh, it does not have to be slightly lower. We could provide notice to the clerk of intent to go back to the current mill rate. I would, yeah, we could do that if that's the commission's direction.
And all I'm doing is trying to answer questions that people are asking me, regarding this revenue neutral rate that I don't think most citizens don't understand it or don't know the rules and regulations that go along with it.
Yeah, I mean, it is relatively new. Last year was the first time that we had to worry about it at all, and last year it was not actually mailed out to people. So I think we will get lots of questions from folks once they receive their mailing. Yeah, but it is somewhat confusing. It is an attempt on the part of the legislature to try and make sure that there is transparency when jurisdictions, not just the county, but any jurisdiction, raises taxes, and by that they mean raises the dollar amount of taxes, not the rate of taxes. So even though our rate is going down because valuations increased, the total amount of taxes that we collect would be going up, and that's why the notice is required.
And also, I think I understood you to say that approval of this revenue neutral rate is not the final step in the budget approval.
That is correct. So all this does is provide notice to the clerk so that she can comply with her statutory requirement to send these out to taxpayers, and also authorizes our staff to publish the notice of the budget hearings, but we will have at least one more opportunity. I'm suggesting 2 opportunities for the commission to consider the budget before final adoption.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the commission? Not any comments or questions from the public? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve by signature the revenue neutral intent letters as presented.
Second the motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. We approve RFA 171-22 revenue neutral rate intent for the 2023 budget. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we'll move on to informational items. Item number 1.
Idle fund report with Tammy Arnold, accounting lead with the Treasurer's Office.
Morning, Tammy.
Good morning, Commissioners. I know Jim usually presents this to you, and he did not give me any direction, so I'm just kind of summarize everything. Stop me if you want me to elaborate. First off, I have the interest earnings report. The top part is the investments of idle funds as of the end of June, so this is the second quarter. Bennington State Bank, you know, is our main bank account, so that's where most of the money that you see is there, 53.6 million. Other bank accounts include some of the smaller ones below, like Bank 6, Equity, Bank of Tusket. We just have minimal amounts there, mostly CDs. And then we do have a treasury note. This was something new that we did this year with Bennington State Bank at their suggestion. And then, of course, the Kansas Municipal funds. We have the bond revenue in there for the jail. And then some of our excess that we did not want to keep in Bennington at their request. And then below, I give you a summary of each month of interest that we've earned with each account. As you can see, it's starting to go up. We're noticing some change in the interest rates. June, of course, was the best one overall. We ended up with $77,709.75, which brings our interest earned for the second quarter at $218,195.04. And if you look below for the summarization of comparing 2022's interest to 2021's, we're finally seeing a good amount of interest coming in, except for the first quarter. April was wishy-washy. Some were starting to look better, some not so much. Second quarter, we did great. We ended up with $93,262.50 more than we did last year. And third quarter, we're hoping to be even better. I'm seeing some higher interest rates coming in. 1.2, we've already seen July jump up to at Bennington, which is where the biggest amount of our funds is. So we hopefully will recoup some of the losses of the last couple years. Then if we move on to the interest on idle bond proceeds report, fire radios, we have pretty much emptied out that fund, so you're not seeing anything listed there for them. The jail construction project, for April, we had 66.8 million. May was down to 62.7 million. And then June down to 57.2 million. But we are still getting a fairly good interest rate on those. If you look down below, we went from 6,556.11 in April up to 24,170.82 in May, and then even a higher jump in June. So I'm excited about that. And then the PBC project fund, we have 4.1 million. It varies a little bit each month, so we're spending a little bit of that. The interest rate on those down below for April and May were pretty similar, just a few cents difference. June jumped up when the interest rate at Bennington jumped up. So now that's $2,584.32. And then the interest earned on the first quarter was only $99,0748. Second quarter went up to $73,945.93. And the big part of what you're seeing there is the amount that was in the Kansas Municipal Fund. Their interest rate jumped before Bennington's did. And then on the back page is a list of the CDs that we have currently, their rates, and when they mature, when they were purchased. The top one for Equity Bank is being replaced at Bank of Tusket. We just received bids for that on Friday. That bid is 1.99% for a $50,000 CD, which is great. It's higher than any of them that we currently have, and that's why I'm really excited to see what the December one will bring when we renew that one. Hopefully, it'll be just as much or higher. So we are still showing 88.7 million in investments. And most of those, we will not see much more mature until 2023, so hopefully we'll do even better then. Any questions?
No,
Questions?
good report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll move to item number 2.
County Administrator's Update with Philip Smith Haynes, County Administrator.
Good morning again, Commissioners. Just 2 items for today. First, I had mentioned last Tuesday that the Kansas Association of Counties is starting to prepare their legislative platform. I did float that out to department heads as well as commissioners, and I've not gotten any feedback for items that we need to throw into that mix this year, but I just did want to close that loop. And then secondly, just to notify the commissioners or remind the commissioners that I will be out of the office starting tomorrow afternoon through Friday. I will be attending the National Association of Counties Conference out in the Denver metro area. And as a reminder, very excited that I will be going to the Achievement Awards luncheon on Saturday because Saline County and the 28th Judicial District Community Corrections is the recipient of a NACO Achievement Award this year for the Uptrust project. So that's all I had for today.
Very good. Move to item number 3.
Commissioners' comments?
Any comments from the commissioners? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 4.
Announcements?
Announcements. I'm sure Jamie has one.
Yes, we actually started voting, early voting in our office yesterday. So we are doing Monday through Friday from 8 to 5 until the 29th of July. And then on the 30th is a Saturday. We are actually voting in our office from 9 to 4. And then August 1st, it will end. We will be voting from 8 to noon. And then you'll be voting on Election Day at your polling site. You can also go on our website, and you can go to the election page, and you can view your sample ballot. So if you just click on what's on my ballot, you can put your information there, and it will pull that up for you, so you can review it before you come in. So.
Very good. Any other announcements? Seeing none, we'll move into executive session, item number 1.
Mr. Chairman, staff would request that the commission recess to executive session under the employer-employee negotiations exception to the Kansas Open Meetings Act to discuss labor negotiations for 20 minutes and reconvene in this room at 9:58.
So moved.
Second the motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we recess to executive session for the employer-employee negotiation exception to the Kansas Open Meetings Act, discuss for 20 minutes and reconvene at 9:58. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Same sign. Sorry, motion carries.
Thank you.
We are in executive session. All right, we're out of executive session. There was no action taken.
Move we adjourn. Second motion.
Moving secondly, we adjourn this commission meeting. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion carries 5-0.